Now I could really go for a new Nipsey Hussle album. I saw a tweet.
No, don't
Somebody
say
was
that.
talking about
Don't
how
say that.
they
You gonna
listen.
you
Somebody
gonna
was
hurt
just
my
talking
heart.
about how they needed some motivation and how they needed a pick me up.
Oh.
And they had a thread, and then they ended the thread with ... I could really go for a Nipsey album. When I say they had hella retweets, hella favorites, hella quotes, people just put in their hearts. And I was thinking, and I had to go back and just listen to his album. It was crazy. I needed to pick me up too in that moment, or like more motivation, type shit. And I listened to it, man. I was like, yo, he got me right, man. Like poetry for real, for motivation.
Y'all don't understand. Like dedication, hard work, plus patience. Yes. The sum of all my sacrifice. I'm done waiting. Talk.
Come on.
Talk.
Come on.
Don't get me started, boy.
It's like listening to gospel, except it's rap. It feeds your soul.
That's how you know it's a good song. It's some rap songs and some R&B songs where I'm like, y'all, this is a gospel song. Like I've said that so many times. When you say that means that song is preaching, speaking, all that.
Where's the button?
No, for real. Like it's soul food on God. Like it really does. When I would listen to his messages, I really feel like I would feel so uplifted and not only just uplifted, but like I just got put on game. And like now I feel educated and uplifted. Like I'm finna go and do something. Yeah. Like and I feel like
I'm riding the city through the day.
Come on now. Like that's what a good gospel does. It gets you up, gets you going, gets you thinking.
Nah, real talk.
Whatever your definition of gospel is, sometimes when I listen to music, and being the music head I am, sometimes when I listen to music, I'm like, man, whatever your gospel is, man, ride to that shit, believe in that shit. Like music is really medicine too. Like I've had those convos how music can really be medicine for some people. That's their therapy. I mean, that's where they're gonna get that word that they need. Like how some people go to YouTube University, I say some music is that for people. They have to put on music from somebody that they relate to, they look like, they whatever been through, whatever it is. Like that guy Rod Wave. I fuck with Rod Wave so heavy.
Don't?
Now when you listen to his music, a lot of people are always like, why you like that sad music? I'm like, if y'all could get past, all that, pain in his delivery. I think his delivery is what gets people, and his cadence of how he raps with that type of, cadence and that voice he has. But if you really listen to those lyrics, first of all, that man been through some things. A lot of people have, right? But like how he puts in his song and how he writes it, man, that's therapy for a lot of people, especially people from his hood. I saw this interview one time. I forgot the guy's name who was talking about Rod Wave music. But he was like that his music got him through a lot of shit, just being where he was from, like the same type of environment. And I remember, man, hey, shout out to FAMU on here right now, because I remember when Rod Wave was in the bottom cab, literally beating on the cab tables, like, rapping and singing just how he is on the music now. And like in the moment, everybody was like, man, who is this guy? Like, shut up, like, chill out, like, you too loud. And like now that man done made it, like he healing people through his music. That's another guy I really like. Yeah,
man. When we talk about Nip, I know we got to get into it because we told ourselves we're gonna start a whole different way with the glows and grows. But Nip get me started because what's so funny is I slept on him. This is gonna show my age, which is a glorious one, 31 turning 32. So
wisdom.
I'm out here on this planet, 10 toes down, living life.
Wisdom.
Anyway, don't get me started. But Nip, like my first year teaching, I had slept on him, and this is back when he was mixtape heavy.
In LA. Right? And you was off of LA. You was off of Crenshaw and Slauson. What is this guy doing?
That's all y'all listen to.
Yeah, no. Yeah, real talk. First, it was 51st in Vermont, right? That's where I was teaching at. Shout out to Challenges Boys and Girls Club. But I was coming from Atlanta, and I saw him on thatpiff.com, and I'm like, who's this grown man with the braids out here trying to rap, dropping mixtapes? I'm like, because it's not Atlanta. It's not the culture, right?
Come on.
So I hadn't seen it. So I slept on it. I tossed it to the side.
Yeah.
When I went to LA, that was when the Crenshaw mixtape had just dropped recently. The one he sold for like I think it was like $1,000 a tape. Like you get was it 100?
Yeah, it was 100.
Yeah.
The mission was to sell 1,000.
Yeah, that's it. And like 2 songs that I listened to over and over again before I was teaching. Because when I tell you I was in that classroom getting humbled and mollywopped every day, you don't know what it's like to give your soul every day for months and see no fruits. Woo. Catch L's day after day after day, and you giving your best, and your best is not enough. Like, and I would listen to like Blessings, and he said, I looked it up because it's this. He said, and you can feel Nip for looking at the world different. All black kids all trapped in, all waiting on a day that we could back in. Then all black bands with the black tent. Cause now you worth something, nigga. That's what that meant. And it's just like,
was that off the dome, my guy?
No. It's in my soul, but I make sure I pulled it up because I felt disrespectful. And then on the face of the world, that's off the dome. He said, because regardless what you win or what you've been through, I just feel like I got to tell you that you worth something. You know, that like you here for something. And just that gave me perspective. And when you look at this man's journey, he is my students. Like dropped out at 10th grade, and he literally changed my perspective on, you know, there's a different pathway. So I'm out here like selling the school dream, because at the end of the day, we all just selling different dreams. The dope man on the corner selling the dream, you can get it today. His dream just comes with a lot more, like a higher risk. Like you get caught jammed up, you got to pay a price. But what dream I'm talking about, you paying the price today for a hope of 10 years from now. But like that man, to this day,
I really feel like for me, I think Nipsey represented the ultimate hustler, you know, and I think like a lot of rappers talk about hustling, right? A lot of people talk about hustling. They talk about grinding. They talk about being in the trenches, right? But I think the way that Nip packaged it, it wasn't just like hustling for a means to an end. It was really like hustling to make a change, hustling to live in your purpose, hustling to do God's work, hustling to uplift your community, like hustling for all the right reasons. But that motherfucking hustle is still there. And that's the foundation of it. Like you're gonna need to hustle in whatever avenue you're trying to pursue. And I think like the way that he did it was such a trailblaze your own path, such that like I'm not gonna take no just because y'all don't see what I see. Like whether it's a record label, whether it's, you know, the homies on the street, whether it's the OGs, like y'all can't see what I see. And just because there's politics or bureaucracy or levels to this shit that y'all, you know, might not think like I've earned, that I need to do something to prove who I am to you. Like, nah, like I got the vision and I'm going to hustle behind my vision and I'm going to be successful.
Yo, and it's like what you're saying is so real. And when you look at it, like I look at it with like the Issa Rae path, you know, the Nipsey path. I saw this infographic. It was on TikTok that he had like employed 40,000 people or something while he was like living at his age, 40,000, like from like everything that he touched. And it's just like another face the world lyric. Victory to me is when you get your grind right. Victory to me is when you get your mom right. And I was like talk, and he did in a way where it's going to touch you, you know, whether you lived his pathway or another pathway, you understand. Totally. Right. And that all of that was so intentional. Yeah. He's like, the marathon continues. That could apply to anybody's life.
Anything.
Staying down. You got a vision and you see it. He's like, I went through every emotion that everyone else went through. The only difference is I stayed down. Like I doubted myself too, but I stayed down.
You know what I like? I want to jump in real quick. You know what I like that I can't deny that I feel like he's done and other people haven't done as openly as he dropped gems along the way, right? Like he left a trail of breadcrumbs for people to follow even before he made it, right? Like he didn't need to be successful to know that the kind of game he was on, the kind of thinking that he was on, he was like, yo, my people need to know this. You know what I'm saying? Homies who are coming out of jail need to know this. People who are coming from the hood, people who are already successful, they need to be thinking like how I'm thinking, and I'm going to drop gems. So I feel like so many people wait until they're already successful to try to turn around and then package something as like, oh, buy my ebook because I figured out the secret to blah, 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 blah. Where I feel like Nip was just really giving away game and just lived in the spirit of reciprocity that I'm just going to give this game as I'm kind of pursuing it. And not only am I going to help myself, but I'm going to help everybody along the way. So like once he got to the top, everybody was like, Nip is the people's champ. You know what I'm saying? Because the whole time before he even made it, like Victory Lap was his first official album. Like, even though that was a strategic move on his part, like it's still his first album. Homie had been in the game since like the early 2000s, and like to wait so long, 15 years before he gets his time to say like, this is my debut album. You had to eat a lot of stuff, like, and be patient and just trust your plan to even get to that point. So for him to just be like trying to give all that time, all those years, all the way before he even got to collect anything, like, come on now.
Yo,
and I think that's where you being authentic, literally throughout your whole journey, you being authentic just in your character. And I think a lot of times we forget about that character piece. Like you said, come on, I love what you said, how when people reach that status, when they reach that success, they're like, okay, now that I'm stopped thinking about me, now I can reach back and bring you with me. But sometimes I think that's a little bit of ego too, because it's like, now that I'm at the top, when I help you, and now when I finally reach back, now you can see where I am and you can stroke my ego, but also, I'm gonna help a little bit. So I think too, you speaking to that authentic piece is crazy. And I want to circle way, way, way back, because we did a great ass tangent right there. Circle way back to what you were saying, Kamau. Damn, what'd you say earlier? You said, fuck. He was like, when he started out, shit, and I just lost my thought.
Mixtapes. Well, let me jump in, because like I said,
when he was being basically like the I gotta get this out. Like when he was being like transferable, basically. That's how I heard it. Where you were like, even though he was rapping, he was relating to so many other people, and that spoke to me so much, y'all. Y'all want to know why? Because this podcast that we're doing, even though it's named Pivot and Proceed, and we talk about our 3 individual journeys, people are going to, some people, hopefully a lot of people are going to hear us talk, and they're going to apply that to whatever their situation is, to whatever their destiny is, to whatever, when they wake up, was really heavy on their hearts, or a decision that they have been really battling and really trying to figure out how to get through it. My situation, that's way different of how I grew up, how I think, any trials that I've been going through. You can literally take whatever someone has, because I truly believe when you're genuine and you're just speaking in your purpose, and you're speaking, over the mic rapping, whether it be a mic podcast or a mic rapping like Nipsey, like we're talking about, however you delay that message and whatever your cadence is of however you deliver it in whatever way you do, is going to touch people in however it was supposed to touch them. And I think that's the magic of creating, and that's the magic of really stepping into who you are and really just doing this shit. But then you got to do it, because it's like, if Nipsey never, ever just followed his dreams, man, and really like brought his character and who he is to that rap space, to that music, to that poetry space, whatever you want to call it, man, a lot of people probably wouldn't have reached their destiny, probably wouldn't have reached who they know they are, or who they even think they can be. Like Tunji, like you said on those other episodes, like how you said on those other episodes, Tunji, like, you don't know who you are, you just know who you used to be, man. Without Nip, there's probably a lot of people who would have never got to see who they can be. Like,
and I'm telling you, like, another Nip quote, he said, I read somewhere that the greatest human act is to inspire. Inspire, like, it comes from the Latin root inspirare, or spirare, which means to breathe life into, like in the breath of life. So somebody to do something in their own way that doesn't motivate you. Motivation is for moments. Inspire lights that light within you, and it makes you move different forever, right? It sparks something within you. And what's so special about him is, because we said, like, when people make it, then they usually start dropping gems. It's because of that imposter syndrome. Not because you don't feel like you him until you actually, the money and everything comes. He's like, nah, I had money.
Some people got to see it.
Right? He's like, I've been me. This been me since day one, and I fought for this. So he was always quick to share his own gems, but share who he was learning from as well.
Facts.
When he didn't do the album till forever because 50 said, nah, don't do that. Drop mixtapes and wait to drop an album because you on the West Coast. They can't judge. They got to judge you off of album sales.
Facts.
If you've never dropped an album. So all of this was strategic through learning from others. He said, I don't just get game, I steal game. You don't have to tell me directly. I'm going to watch how you move if you cooking. Yeah, I'm going to watch how you move, and I'm going to take that. And I just keep taking gems from him, like, for days. I feel like every other week I'm finding a new interview, and I'm like, let's get it, right? And he died years ago, and that's what's so powerful.
Yeah.
Like
I think that's beautiful. I think that's beautiful, too, how you were saying, and you picked out a great point, Tunji, how he told the world that, he doesn't take the gems, he steals the gems. But with him doing that and with him, studying his craft and really studying people who's doing great things in his industry, that's given us, even in a whole different industry, the opportunity to tap into what he learned. He was so open to learning and he was so open to continuing to improve himself that he didn't know that Zuri was going to need that one day to keep going with Pivot Proceed. He didn't know that Tunji was going to be on this mic saying this to millions of people, hopefully one day, millions of people, on this podcast. Like, he didn't know that. He was just literally being authentically himself. And for some reason, this conversation keeps bringing me back to what happens if we're not authentically ourselves? Will other people not get to their destiny? Because I was selfish enough and I decided not to really get in my bag and get in my craft and actually do it and actually start it and actually be consistent.
No.
What really happens,
say,
What
say
happens?
that again. What happens?
What happens? Like, bro, what happens if I don't get in my bag and start my destiny and start my journey? Is someone else not going to meet their destiny because they didn't hear the gem that I was supposed to drop, or I didn't go to that shop today to just be authentically me, to sit there like me. I say hey to everybody, man. What's up? Like, sometimes that's people's destiny, to just be a friendly person, man, or to be one of the biggest rappers in the world. Either way, you're going to help somebody get to who they're supposed to be.
If you
and either way, you're not going to know either. You're not going to know on the front end, like, you're not going to know you're become the biggest rapper in the world. You just got to pursue that authenticity. Sorry, Tunji.
And the thing is, no, you good. It's like, I truly believe if you don't be authentic self, if you don't chase that dream, if you don't become who you're supposed to be, the world falls apart. Like, literally, it falls apart because we're all created to do something unique and something distinctive. And if we do not do it, it will never be done. That's Benjamin E. Mays. There's a path that this is supposed to work out in, like the cleanest way. And the best part is, like you said, Kamau, like, you don't know on the front end. The reality is sometimes you don't know on the back end either how it's going to play out. You never know that person you touch. Nip's never going to know what he did for us.
Nope.
Never. But he lived a beautiful life doing what he was supposed to do for him. He had joy. He thrived. He lived in his authenticity. And we can do the same. And like you said, those breadcrumbs, like that trail he left, we all have our own breadcrumbs to leave. So who's eating off of your life?
Let's go.
And I think that's the beauty in it too. Even though we never and probably will never know every person we touched, I think God literally gives us the gift and the opportunity to actually be fulfilled because he knows that
again.
he knows that we will never ever know every person that we touch by our voice or by our smile or something we said and we didn't even know that we said it in the moment or we forgot. But I feel like God's gift to us is because you listened and because you touched who you were supposed to touch and you started what you were supposed to start, whatever your thing is. Now you're fulfilled. Now you have peace. Now you can wake up and actually do whatever you want because that's freedom. Whatever God laid on our heart to be our freedom. Everybody's definition of freedom is probably different. We've talked about this too. So it's just, I like right now, I'm getting that in my head where maybe that's God's gift to us, or one of God's gifts to us when we actually follow what the fuck we're supposed to be doing. And we stop all that, oh, let me do this because this is a lot of money, or let me do this because I like how it makes me feel,
Hey,
like, why can't we be fulfilled as a reward? That's the word I was looking for, a reward.
We're cooking hella early, y'all. We turn on the oven and we right at 450. We broiling, bro. That's what I'm talking about. Let's talk.
Let's go.
That's what you start off with Nip out the gate. And I actually want to share this story because it's in my mind. Mm-hmm. I want to see if it sparks in anything, y'all. So I said Challenges Boys and Girls Club, 51st in Vermont. That's where I first started teaching. Mm-hmm. And it was a charter school within Ludanza Prep charter middle school. Like shout out RIP because the school got closed down. And what's so crazy is when I tell you this is the pivot and proceed moment. So first 3 years teaching there. First 2 years, those are my babies, 7th, 8th grade. I still rock with so many of them now. And third year was in danger of closing. So this is the make it or break it year. The principal that I was rocking with the first 2 years that I was actually rocking with left. And they like brought in somebody else and I was heated. I'm like, I ain't finna like her. Like, ain't no new principal coming in here. I ended up like her. She was dope too. I was like, dang it. But I was like, okay, humble yourself, whatever's best for the students. And we doing our things, we trying, and I never forget this moment, right? In between the second and third year, they came in to like talk, like it was the top level of the charter school to come in, have a conversation and, see like, what can we do to make this work? And I was like really developing as a teacher at the time. I wasn't him, but I was getting in my bag. Like I had my bag of moves and we cooking a little bit. So they come in, it's like, and you still here. Because so many people like after the 1 year, they go, 2 years, you him. And I'm 2 years and I'm still strong, like waiting for this third year. And they come in and they have a conversation with me. Okay, what do we need to do? And they asked me this specific question. Because we had a blended learning model. Teacher will know what I'm talking about. Like where you're doing 3 different things at once, essentially, and your classroom management got to be on point. Long story short, they're like, should we add more students to the classroom? They're like 23 at the time. Mm-hmm. And they're like, should we add? We thinking like 30 to 33. I look them dead in his face. And this is my boss's boss's boss. Yeah. And I'm like, don't do that. If you do that, we are not going to make it. Teachers that just left, everything like we are not going to make it. Long story short, they ain't listen to me. They added like 10 more students to the classroom, school closed down. Yeah. And I was like, that moment where somebody just asking you something because they decided in a meeting they were going to ask you, but they were going to do what they wanted to do anyway. Yeah. That was that moment. And then the school closed down. And I don't know if you've ever experienced like giving so much of your heart to a place and you don't even have the option to go back. And that's the moment I decided to go and teach at the high school. And that's when I went to Crenshaw and Slauson. And that's where like on the corner of the Marathon store where Nip is and everything. And teaching at high school is just another moment where I was scared to do it and it ended up becoming a huge blessing. Because when you're comfortable, you finally get into your bag in a place. And it's like I think it's another example of, God, as the preacher Zuri was talking about, God forcing you to move. Because I don't think I could have moved. My personality is too addictive. Like especially when I feel like I'm truly needed at a place, I can't move myself. So now that I look at it in retrospect, like, did that school need to close for me to move to that area?
That's another destiny gem right there.
Yeah, because I don't know if I would have just up and uprooted myself when I knew I couldn't be replaced.
But where I feel like the lesson is you got to show up regardless, right? Like life is going to pivot, and I think a part of proceeding is showing up regardless of the circumstances, right? It's showing up when you're getting assigned a new principal and you're like, bro, I really connected with that other person, or it's showing up when the school closed and it's just like, damn, like I got to continue with my career. Like I still feel called to the classroom. I still feel like there's students who need me, right? Like the circumstances are going to change, but how you show up does not have to.
And in your point, and in your story, Tunji, what I got out of it was you were still where you needed to be at that time.
That's not
because Even with all of this, where you were saying, the principal story, and then you wound up liking her, all I heard was lessons. Like the fact that you came out of that situation with the lesson that's going to stay with you, that you're probably going to tell your kids, that they're going to tell their kids and their kids and their kids, is literally like the lesson of that story. Like something has to fail sometimes for us to be uprooted and to move on, or for something to die for us to go after what's for us. And it's like, even though the school closed and it probably, hurt the teachers and they had a hard time finding something, at a moment you knew that you were yeah, exactly. And you knew that you were pivoting. The children, the subject of this story, they had their friends, they were comfortable, but all of y'all got the same lesson. When you think about it, the kids just got it as they were younger, and they might not see it now, but all I heard, man, was like a lesson. And you were exactly where you need to be, just like the kids, just like the teachers. And all y'all can now tell the same story. Probably will tell it differently.
Yeah.
But it's still that same story of being uprooted when you have to be. Like, you're literally forced to be uprooted sometimes. You'd be pissed in the moment. Like, man, I was just getting in my groove.
The more I think about it, that's the story of my life. I ain't built like Zuri. I ain't like, it's time to go. Like, I'm like, no, I'm staying forever. And God be like, nah, son.
Yeah.
Nah.
That could be good though sometimes. And when that's going to help you out, that will be whatever it's going to be for you, where you just don't give up that easily. And like, that's good. Like, don't look at it as a bad thing. Even like an obsession. I still feel like
though, I still feel like the everybody isn't kind of built like you, and everybody isn't built like Tunji, nor is everybody built like me, right? Like, and I think the story that you tell yourself is that's the key. That's where it lies. Because you're right, Zuri. Everybody isn't going to tell the story the same way. Some people are going to be like, and that's where my career took a turn for the worse, and that's where my life took a turn for the worse, and that's when all my bad luck started compounding, and that is why I am where I am right now. Like that's real, right? Like, and I think not to I don't know, minimize people who've had a string of bad luck or to kind of talk down, but a lot of it is it's like, are you looking at things the glass half full, the glass half empty? And I just feel like you always have a choice, because life is going to do what life does, and it's always going to pivot, and you do have a choice on how you proceed forward.
And I'll say that. Let me
hold on. Last point.
Go ahead.
Choosing not to proceed is a choice. You know what I'm saying? Saying like, I'm not going forward, or like, I've had enough, or whatever. Choosing not to proceed is just as much of a choice as it is to proceed and figure out a way forward.
Two things you said, Kamau. One thing is like, it's like you said how you choose to proceed. And I just realized that I proceeded to the next challenge. And that's so important, because teaching at the high school was scary to me at the time. Not of the kids, but I'm finally getting in a groove with this. And this is a whole nother age group with a whole nother set of challenges on Crenshaw and Slauson. So
that's the crazy part to me.
Right? The question again is, are you built like it? Right? Are you built for this? Can you do this? And that's the challenge I chased. And that's why I believe I was blessed, because I was scared to, and I did it anyway. And as you said, Kamau, show up. And what's so funny is I was just humbled this morning with that. Like, my video this morning was talking about like mastering the art of showing up. E.T. the hip hop preacher, Dr. Eric Thomas, he was like, you can pretend that you care, but you can't pretend that you're there. And I was just talking, I was going in. I was talking about how like you blessed, like you get put in a certain category when you show up no matter what. When you say I'm gonna be there for someone, and you could get mugged and then still show up. And then somebody said, shut up, under the video, like in the comments. And I was like, sheesh. Because usually I just get love.
I mean, they triggered. They was triggered.
I was like, sheesh.
Shut your ass up, Tunji.
This morning. Talking all that, yep. And then I really sat down. I feel like reflection is the superpower at this point, because I took a step back and I was like, okay, what triggered them? Like, if this like was a black man that I wanted to connect with, what was it? And for me, the only thing that I reflect that wasn't authentic is I've never been mugged. So how dare I say that? right? Step into that man, choose to talk about doing something. Like if I was still mugged and showing up and helping somebody on a Saturday, you don't know. You haven't lived that life, so how dare you? And then something clicked in me. Like this is another quote, and this one's been like just dominating my brain. Khalil Gibran, he said, "One day you will ask me, whose life is more important, yours or mine? And then I will say mine. You will walk away from me not realizing that you are my life." And I was like, sheesh. He said, whose life is more important, yours or mine? I will say mine, and then you will walk away from me not realizing that you are my life. And what I took from that is this: when you take care of yourself properly, everyone is blessed because of it. Like when I truly take care of me, when I challenge myself, when I inspire myself, when I'm the best version of myself, everyone's life around me is made better. So, but that's just so hard to do. So hard to do, to say, okay, I'm gonna put myself first. And usually I stay quiet because some people, like, you can't tell no mama with a newborn baby or a child, like, put yourself first. They'll be like, what are you talking about? Like, so I just stay quiet and I stay in my little pocket and I shut up because I got no place. You know what I'm saying? Like, who am I? But there's the reality of, you better than 100 when you're on 100 than you are at 60%.
Big facts.
You can give your absolute best at 60%, but you coming up short for everybody.
I want to circle back to something that you said that I think goes over a lot of people's head, and a lot of people, I believe, just underestimate this so much. But it's the reflection piece. I forgot the exact little soundbite or the exact quote you said, but I think reflection, to me, has been the difference maker in terms of like what I am able to continue to do and how I'm able to continue to grow and how I'm able to continue to refine my stuff in my processes and my time management. Like, it's all reflection. And if you take the time, because I think that's the hardest part, it's like taking the time to sit down and think about your life. Like, nobody really wants to do that. Nobody really wants to go through their stuff. And then, and to the degree that you do, you're on the right path. You just got to be consistent. You just got to continue to do that, either week over week, month over month. Do that for 6 months to 12 months, and then you'll start to see some results. But I think from what I get from reflection is that I learn about myself, and ultimately, like, we're our own biggest experiments, right? Like, if you're looking at yourself and you're seeing things that you want to do, you're seeing ways that you want to grow in your life. Like, I think, like, you're going to be the person who's going to get you there. So it's like, how do you better understand yourself to get there? Like, how do you put yourself in a better position to get there? Me and Zuri were talking about this earlier, just about like routines and working out and sleep, and just like all of these things that I know a lot of people who are struggling with sleep, by the way, right now. Like, I don't know if it's like an age you get to, it's like a certain point in your life, but like, sleep is a tough thing, and it's a thing that I have not really figured out yet. There's some nights where I'll get an hour and a half of sleep, and I'll show up, and I got a to-do list of like 9 to 12 things that I got to get done for the day. They could be meetings, they could be this, they could be that, but it's just such a challenge.
Hold on one second, come out real quick. I want to ask you a question on the sleep piece.
Okay.
And this is like a genuine question. I want to know the answer.
Go for it.
Do you constantly worry about things that you're not in control of?
Not really. I mean, like, I think I'm kind of past that point, honestly. I used to, but no, I definitely, not so much anymore. I think in the way that I got to this point, I think is ultimately like, I give myself permission to show up, and I know how much I give. I know how authentic I am. I know how much of my truth I live. And so, like, I leave it all out on the court with everything I do. Like, I'm going to try to give you 110% if I've made a commitment to you. So, like, of course, like, there's hypotheticals and there's strategic things. Like, I want things to fall into place and I want this thing to happen at this time, but I don't really like leave my mind running like a fan on and on about that.
Shit, I do, Tunji. What's your game? Because that is great. I'm so proud of you, Kamau, that you know this shit. I do. And I know there's some people out there that's probably like me.
Definitely.
It's some things that I cannot go to sleep on because I am worried about how I can't do anything about it, or something like legit, y'all. Something someone said, it could be family, whatever, and it's just bothering me. Even though I can't control what they said because they already said it, my mind is gone. So what's up, Tunji? Drop it.
No,
drop it
like
right
it's
now.
just a practice. Is this like
right now?
Hand it over. But no, just this practice. Like they asked this, I think it was like a Navy SEAL or some like Army dude that was like super productive and just growth mentality. Type person is like, if you can give one piece of advice, what would it be? Like to people that are anxious, the people that like have this issue. Because that's what that's what I was going to say. That's why I thought you couldn't sleep, but you is clearly something different. Is write down everything that you're worried about on a sheet of paper. Yeah, this thing we talked about before.
Okay, gotcha.
And the ones that you can control, do them.
The
ones you can't,
after that, you're done.
Ball up the paper, throw it away, you're done. And just that practice, doing it consistently, gives you at least that momentary freedom.
And you see the reality of what you can really do for real on paper. And it's something magical about writing things down, for sure.
I'm telling you.
Dreams, whatever it is, you write it down. For some reason, it just happens. Like, or you start to see a change too.
The other piece, which you just said, Zuri, about like see the things that you actually can do. Like, oh man, I think that's something I'm definitely a victim of, or like I constantly do is put all this stuff on my to-do list, or like things that I need to handle that I actually can't do. Like I just can't do them
because it makes you feel better. It's like it makes us feel better to see it. They're like, wow, I'm important. I have these things to do. But then it's like the reality of it is 6 things, but each thing takes about 3-4 hours to do it correctly or right, Yeah.
You can't do it. And learning that though takes time though. Like it is something I am going through right now. And I told Zuri this. I've had to like consult multiple people. I've had to like really get a better grasp on like how can you set yourself up for success, because a to-do list of 12 items is not really setting yourself up for success, right? And it's like how can you actually say what you want to do and then do the things and then follow through? How can you fulfill that urge to do and not feel like, oh, I let myself down, oh, I didn't do this, oh, I didn't do that. You got to be real and be realistic.
No. And I will say, and I'm gonna challenge that comment, Kamau, and say like F that to the timepiece. And it's from one of my students, right? And it's just challenging. He challenged my mentality. And another student from Crenshaw and Slauson hustle with me on Instagram. Shout out my boy, like Namir.
Hey, shout him out for real. Shout him out.
Yeah, the chosen one. He said, because we talking on the phone, and he's like, a lot of people think that change takes time, but really it takes a decision. And I was like, whoa. And when you just something shifts in you. And something shifted in me when I realized it's not about great actions, big actions. If you can do small things consistently. Like I'm looking at my website for my company, and I said I'm gonna touch it every day for a year.
Totally.
Find a way to make it a little bit better every day. And I was just talking to my boy the other day. I was looking at the website. I'm like, oh, this thing
those minutes add up.
This thing looking clean now. Hey, I'm a baddie out here. Like, don't talk to me. Hair flip, all that. Like different.
Not a baddie. Love it. I love the reference.
Like, and it's like small actions. And another thing, like, what do you call it? Dr. Jordan Peterson, he said that this has transformed my life too. He said for all my writers, all my students, anybody that has something like a deadline, he says, write a trash draft, a garbage one.
Totally.
Oh yeah, just get it out
and finish. And then like, especially when you don't feel like it, you tired, even if you copy and paste in all these sources, all these links, screenshotting, get it all out on the page. And when you don't feel like it and it was terrible and you got to the end, even though it's trash, tomorrow you are so proud of that. Tomorrow you go back and you're like, I can work with this. I have something to put together, especially if you're a procrastinator like me.
Yeah,
I used to call it like the last minute legends. It's the day before and like, let me get in my bag. And I'm still going to pull out a cold B+ because I'm nice with it. B- at worst. You know what I'm saying? Like that was my mentality. And once you eat off of being a last minute legend, procrastinating, it's hard. That thing is addictive.
You'll get addicted.
It's
totally
addictive.
And I don't know what it's called, but have y'all ever experienced this? Kind of what you're talking about, Tunji, of how you just have to get things out, even when you don't feel like it, to just start it and just do it. Sometimes, I don't know if it's all the time for y'all, but sometimes, even if I do that, it's like I want to finish it and I want to go a little longer.
Yeah.
The fact that I got through that little piece and that little time of, you know, not being as motivated or not wanting to do it at all. And then when I actually start doing it, I'm like, wait a minute, my focus gets a little clearer. It's like I had to go through a little, I don't know, it's like in my mind I see like mud almost, you know, like you're trying to really get your foot, you know, out of it. It's like, all right, I'm gonna just, you know what, I'm gonna really try. And then you get your foot out the mud and you're like, hold up, I can do that again. Wait a minute, this is actually not that hard. Hold on, I actually feel like doing it now. Damn, I finished it and it's actually good.
That's working out.
It might be a little piece. Yeah, it might be a little piece, a little secret in that for real. Maybe the times where we don't feel like doing something, that's where the magic is.
And it's so much of a balance too. Cause like when you find a way to like get, like you say, okay, I'm just gonna put something trash down, you able to get into that groove. Mm-hmm. But it's also like that piece of, if you made an agreement with yourself to say, this is all I'm gonna do tonight, you like set up yourself for failure tomorrow if you like empty the tank and you didn't agree to do that. Right. And what really, and I was just talking about this the other day with my boy, he's talking about creativity, how that's unique, it's different. Like, and when you were in flow state and you are an artist, you a musician or whatever, you need to get everything out. You a writer and you flowing, put every word on that paper that you can. And it sounds so right? You're like, oh yeah, that just makes sense. But then I remember this James Clear example of, because it sounded like desperation. And if I know anything about desperation, it'll get you what you want right now because you want it so bad, but you got to sacrifice tomorrow. Totally. You wake up tomorrow and be like, what I wanted so bad yesterday, I gave too much for it.
Totally.
And he used this example of he always stays hungry. So when he's writing, he always leaves at a point where he wants to put more down.
Yep.
He has an idea. He has a question. He has a bar. He has something that's stirring in his soul that he disciplines himself to walk away with it.
Yep.
So when he comes down to sit down tomorrow, it's not, okay, I have to do this. It's, I get to get this out now. I get to put this on paper. And if you do that every day, then it's easy to master the art of showing up because your desire is to.
I think the tough part, because I'm rocking with what both y'all are saying, and like I'm thinking about this. One of the things I'm really trying to do is time block, like really trying to time block, you know, like by I'll break it down to even 15-minute increments sometimes if I really got to like. So with time blocking, I think one of the challenges that I've had in the past with like working is that like when I get in flow state, I'll say F everything on my calendar. I'll try to clear it and I'll just want to ride that flow state as long as I can. Just like get as much down. And that's hard to do. Like that's hard to plan around. That's hard to like to do multiple things in a day when you really just want to get in flow state and stay in flow state all day. And then some days you just don't get in flow state. Some days like I'm just not feeling it today, you know, and I'll sit here at this computer for 2.5 hours and I'll have like 2 sentences, you know, some days you're just not feeling it. But I think the power in having that discipline and saying like, I'm showing up for an hour and a half today, whether I feel like it or I don't, is that the days that you are feeling it, like, and you're pressing the pause button, I guess like I walk away feeling super fulfilled, right? Like I walk away just knowing like I was just eating right there. And even though I got to like change to something else, like I still feel the desire to come back and finish that. And then the days that I'm not feeling it, I'm like, all right, cool. On to the next thing. Like, God damn, I'm so happy to be done with that. And I think that discipline really is key because it allows you to keep touching things multiple times and it allows you to do more things, right? Like you don't just have to be a one-trick pony who writes, you know, and that's all you do. That's your only focus for the day. But like you can continue on with your daily life. You can continue on with different passion projects and pulling multiple things and moving the needle forward on multiple things. Because I think, at least for me, I'm definitely somebody who likes to juggle too many things, right? Like a lot of things, but that's because I have a lot of passions. That's because like I have a lot of things that I want to realize. And so you got to figure out a way to move the needle on multiple things at the same time, day over day over day. How do you do that? You touch a little bit each day for all of the things, or at least all the things that you can balance. Like I'm not telling you to try to touch 8 things in a day. That's not really realistic. But if you want to write a book and you want to start a podcast and you got a full-time job, it's possible. But you just got to commit to what can you do in a day to move that one thing forward. If that's 20 minutes, 25 minutes, stick to your 25 minutes.
Yeah, no, real talk, like what you said. And I'll say this and I'll share this and I'll see if people want to use it as well. But of course, like this is a hypothesis, right? So only it's one of those things where time will tell if I'm correct. Like time will prove it true. But what I do every day so far, I give myself basically 3 hours every day to do 3 things for my business. 1, check my email. An hour just to check my email. So you know what happens after that hour? I'm always successful. There is no failure. I just need to go through the unread messages. I'm sure if you got 1,000 unread messages, maybe that's a different ball game. But getting to that point where they're new. So number 1, like it's easy for me at this point. I got like 2 or 3, and 2 or 3 of them spam. So it's like, ooh, I'm getting W's. Then number 2 is, like I said, 1 website update. And that could be something simple as I put my Twitter feed on there. So if my video pops in every day, it's already happened. So it's just setting myself for success. I already know that I won. And then number 3 is the 1 workshop development. And that could be an idea. So all I'm saying is I give myself 3 hours to do something where I know I'm going to win. Where like I look at something so small and I praise myself for it. So every day I touch flow state because I give myself time, and my mind's expectation is so low that I can flow. Yeah, I can overachieve.
And one thing too to add, and this is crazy because what I'm about to say kind of covers me circling back to the showing up piece that we talked about way back in the episode, and now some guidance for people who are looking for, a way to get things done and to be motivated. So one thing I did, like you said, Kamau, we're our own experiment. So it was one time in my life where I kind of realized that a lot of people would keep canceling on me. Like it would be, we're going out, I would get canceled on, or I would cancel on myself, which is the most important part. I would say I would do something, for example, go to the gym or do a little things for Gentry Spot, like, which is my nonprofit, like just doing something for me.
And it's the easiest one to cancel. It's because it's the easiest.
Yes. And I was canceling on myself, and I was seeing that other people was canceling on me. So I said, you know what? I did a little bit of reflection, is what we're talking about. And I said, whatever I say I'm going to do, I'm gonna just show up.
Talk.
It would be like going to the bar with a friend. Sometimes I'll just be like, damn,
I love that.
I don't feel like going anymore. But oops. Now I made a promise to myself, and like Kobe said, he said, I signed this contract to myself. I'm not giving up on myself. I'm going to do this. Y'all, tell me why. I saw a whole switch in friends around me, associates, family, even my self-talk. I was like, nobody was canceling on me anymore. Wow. If we said we were going to do something, it would always happen. And if it didn't, it would be something dire, like a family member is in danger, or they're just really not up to it. It would be something else that they just can't control, like what we were talking about. And after I wrote that contract to myself and I said, I'm just going to show up, I started listening to myself better. I started showing up for myself better. Even if it wouldn't be as long as I would want to, I still showed up. And it's like you said, Tunji, that's a win. And now that's embedded in me, where now I still do it and I still think it, where if I don't do something that I said, it's something mental that I can't control, or it's something else I can't control, or it's outside of me, basically, what I'm trying to say. And that might can help too, y'all. If y'all
we really need like a list per episode of like action items or like gems to implement. Like
real talk, it's gems for days.
This is getting late.
And let's wrap up with how we was supposed to start off with the glows and grows.
Thank you.
Glows and grows.
Thank you.
I feel like this is my fault again. Going on the dip talk.
That's it. It is what it is. Yeah. But I'll go ahead and I'll kick it off because I don't know. My grow is just to watch the arrogance and not try and live outside my story. Like with the mugging type thing, like, oh, if I would mug, I would still show up, because that's not authentic. And like for me to try and put myself in a position mentally that I haven't been yet is one thing. Another thing, to say I would do something that I haven't experienced is another. So number one is just that humility, to always like that self-reflection, to even look at every like comment that I would just toss aside as, oh, they hating, or am I really tripping? So one is like growth is humility. And a glow is just showing up. Like, we still here. I'm still here. Like, just talking to a brother the other day, like I was walking into the gathering spot and it's super late in the morning. And he's like, he's just got a joy that usually night shift people don't have. He's like, what's going on, brother? And I'm like, what's going on? You know, it's like, how you doing? And this is really my glow. And this is random. I didn't think this was what it was going to be. He's like, how you doing today? And I'm like, man, I'm blessed. He's like, talk. He's like, I'm still alive. I'm breathing. I'm here. And he's working like graveyard shift with just a lightness about him.
If I could just interrupt, homie's not gonna be working graveyard shift forever. Like if he got that kind of light in a place like that, he's going somewhere.
Right, just there by himself. Talking about the ability to be alone. You know how you turn around, you see somebody, they watching basketball or watching a comedy show, they watching something else. My man had the cameras on. He was doing his job. Sheesh. Like, different. You know what I'm saying? Like, just levels. So that, like, he is my glow. Bring me back to reality. Like, just thankful for showing up.
Yeah. Facts. I would say my glow for these past weeks is I've just been loving on myself. Like, point blank, period. I've just been loving on myself. If I said I was going to do something, I do it. And I feel like that's a big part of self-love that I'm learning is very important to even get to that final answer. So where I can finally confidently say, I love Zuri. Like, I love myself, or I'm in love with myself, whatever it is, you know. And some things, like, for example, for y'all, I've always wanted to be consistent with the gym. And when I say I'm going to go to the gym, I go, even if I'm not, like today, like my body just wasn't physically feeling the best. And I was like, even if I don't go and do my entire routine, which I did not, I still went. And it's like when I walked out the gym, I was like, wait a minute, this feels different. I don't know who this is, but I love her. Like, I don't know who this is, but I like her, you know?
Hell yeah.
And I was talking about myself.
I'm trying not to take
I'm telling you. I'm ready to go to the gym right now. Let's go.
Y'all can see their face right now, man.
I'm like, run this whole episode back. I'm ready. Oh Lord.
And that's definitely my glow. Because I don't, honestly, transparent moment, I don't think I've ever felt that way yet in my life about myself. And being in the area I am in my life right now, if you all listen to the first episode of that pivot piece, this is very interesting that I'm getting to this place right now in this moment, in this headspace that I'm in. But it's all for a purpose, for sure. But that's definitely my glow. And I would say my grow piece would be to appreciate where I am more in the moment, no matter how I selfishly may feel about it, because feelings can flee, and just find happiness, whatever it is. If it's little things of me finding out that I can love myself how I want to love myself, make that my happiness. If it's, you know, me finally being able to hang out with a friend that I haven't, you know, hung out with in a long time consistently, you know, just find a happiness somewhere, somehow. Because I think that's something I've always, not that I think, I know that that's something I've always struggled with, was finding the happiness where it was so many other things that maybe tried to take my happiness, steal my happiness, or I just wasn't where I wanted to be. But I kind of found something out lately that everywhere I would be in my life, I would always find something to not be happy about. And I think that was really stunting my self-love portion and my wherever I was planting my feet at the time. Like I always found something, even though something would happen that had the opportunity to steal that joy. I think I definitely need to work on growing that piece in my life of just finding the happiness, because I'm there for a reason. I'm not there just because, you know. So that's definitely my growth.
Hey, that girl been talking. I'm talking about this whole episode.
Jesus. Go ahead and have an altar call, Pastor. You got me. Collect tithes. Take my money.
No cap, bro. Oh my God. I'd like to say that my glow, I think this, I was reflecting on the last 3 months of the year, and it was actually a really, really, really helpful exercise. Because we're 25% of the way through the 2022. What does the other 75% look like for you, right? And I still feel like it's still early enough to change the whole game, right? To recommit to the things that you want to do, yada yada yada. So I was doing some reflecting, and I think one of the glows that I really was happy to see is just that, like, the amount of time I'm spending with loved ones, and I'm just pouring in, like, just like, I think if you're somebody who's always like trying to do stuff and like, stay busy and this and that, like when you actually take your time and you like really pour in your loved ones and you're present and you table everything, like it's just so cool to see like their faces light up, right? They're like, you're here, you're with us, you're spending time, like, and it's just so much love. And I think sometimes, at least for me, I feel like my whole world is revolving around me, right? I'm so in my own little world. I'm so like focused on my little things, my little dreams. Not to say they're little things and they're irrelevant, but like take some time and impact other people's world, right? Take some time and pour into somebody else's world and just be present, just show up, but show up not out of a requirement, show up out of a genuine place of love. And it was just a glowing moment. Like every time I did that throughout the first quarter of the year, I would leave glowing, because I saw them glow. And I'm not sure exactly how that energy transferred into other things. I'm not sure how it uplifted me to do this or that. I'm not even sure if that's the point. But the fact that it happened, the fact that I was able to see their faces and be with people and share time and space, it definitely was so rewarding. And then on the grow piece, I think, us talking about Nip and just him showing up authentically. Did I make a word authentically? No, that's a word. Just how he showed up and just how he was such a, I don't know if I'm gonna impact you, but I'm gonna just show up 100% authentic. Like, I think that's where I got to grow. I think and I've been growing, I've been trending in this direction, but every single thing that I touch, I'm the same Kamau, whether I'm in corporate, whether I'm with the homies, whether I'm on the podcast, whether I'm at the basketball court, whether I'm, in another country. Like, I really am just trying to show up as me. And it's tough, it's tough. I think, especially when you talk about the corporate piece, right? And work and business, and you're like, you're supposed to be this like really tightened up, clean shaven, like, you can't talk, you can't have a unique name, you can't this, you can't that, right? But I think choosing to show up authentically despite what you're supposed to do is where the real magic happens, right? It's really where people connect because they see you. They're like, you're actually showing up. You're actually being you. And that inspires people. When you show up so authentically in a place that people traditionally don't show up authentically, it makes an impact. So I think my challenge is to continue to give myself permission to show up in places that maybe traditionally aren't accepting of my uniqueness.
Boy, what an episode. I think this is my favorite. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Hey.
I think I'll be leaving, like you said, come on, I'll be leaving every time with that glow. That's one of these moments. Yeah, it's one of these moments for me.
Facts.
I'm talking about the journey is the goal. Hey, the journey is the goal, y'all.
Yeah. That's where the magic at. That's what they say. That's what they say.
Until next time, my peeps.
Hey, you are loved. And for every pivot, may they be a proceed.
Woo, woo.
I love y'all.
Now that's how you close out an episode. All right, y'all.
All right, y'all.